You take pride in your healthy, home-cooked meals. You carefully select fresh ingredients, skip the processed junk at the store, and put love into every dish you make. You believe your kitchen is a safe haven for your health. But what if the way you're cooking those beautiful, healthy ingredients is silently increasing your risk of a stroke? It might be shocking to learn that some of the most common cooking methods, techniques you probably use every day, create dangerous compounds in your food. These compounds can cause inflammation, damage your arteries, and dramatically raise your risk of a major cardiovascular event. The danger isn't necessarily in the food itself, but in how you cook it. Today, we're going to uncover 4 of the biggest hidden dangers on your stovetop and grill. We'll break down why they're harmful and, most importantly, give you simple solutions to protect your health without sacrificing flavor. You have complete control over this. By the end of this video, you'll know how to make your kitchen the true sanctuary of health you've always wanted it to be. Let's get started. The first cooking method we need to talk about is a beloved tradition: high-temperature cooking. This includes grilling, barbecuing, broiling, and even searing meat in a scorching hot pan. That beautiful dark char on a steak or the crispy skin on grilled chicken, those are the results of intense heat. Unfortunately, they're also signs of a chemical reaction that can be incredibly harmful to your cardiovascular system. When you cook muscle meat like beef, pork, poultry, and fish at high temperatures, 2 main classes of dangerous chemicals can form: heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. HCAs form when the amino acids in protein react with a substance in muscle called creatine under high heat. That sizzling sound a steak makes on a hot grill, that's the sound of chemical reactions, and one of them is creating HCAs. The hotter the temperature and the longer you cook the meat, the more of these compounds are formed. PAHs are formed a bit differently. When you're grilling, fat from the meat drips down onto the hot coals. This creates smoke and flare-ups. That smoke isn't just flavor. It's loaded with PAHs that then rise up and coat the surface of your food. So why are these compounds so bad for your stroke risk? Both HCAs and PAHs are known to be mutagenic, meaning they can damage our DNA. More specific to our topic, they are powerful drivers of oxidative stress and inflammation. Imagine these chemicals entering your bloodstream and acting like tiny irritants, damaging the delicate lining of your arteries. This inflammation is a key trigger for atherosclerosis, the process of plaque building up, hardening, and narrowing your arteries. A stroke often happens when one of these plaques ruptures or a clot forms, blocking blood flow to the brain. But there's another villain created by high heat: advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These harmful compounds form when proteins or fats are cooked with sugars at high temperatures. The browning and caramelization that makes food look so good is a sign of age formation. Researchers have found that consuming foods high in AGEs can lead to stiff blood vessels, inflammation, and oxidative stress, all direct contributors to heart disease and stroke. Think of AGEs as a kind of biological rust that makes your flexible arteries stiff and brittle. In fact, studies show a strong connection between high levels of AGEs in the body and an increased risk for ischemic stroke. Now, this doesn't mean you have to give up your summer barbecue. The good news is, you can dramatically reduce these harmful compounds with a few simple tweaks. Try marinating your meat. Studies have shown that an acid-based marinade with ingredients like vinegar or lemon juice and herbs like rosemary and thyme can create a protective barrier and significantly reduce HCA formation. Also, try to control your heat. You don't need to incinerate your food. Opt for lower, more indirect heat. If you're using a gas grill, use one side for heat and place the food on the other to let it cook more slowly. This reduces both HCAs and PAHs. A simple trick is to flip your food frequently. Instead of letting one side sit on the hot grate for a long time, flipping every minute or so prevents the surface from reaching the extreme temperatures where most HCAs are formed. It's also wise to trim excess fat to reduce drips, which means less PAH-filled smoke. And if parts of your food do get charred, just cut those blackened bits off before you eat them. That's where the highest concentration of these harmful chemicals is found. The second cooking method quietly increasing your stroke risk is deep frying. There's no denying the appeal of deep-fried food. That perfectly crispy golden brown exterior and tender inside is a combination that's hard to resist. But what's happening on a chemical level during that process is a direct assault on your cardiovascular health. The main problem with deep frying is the oil. The food absorbs a huge amount of it, dramatically increasing its calorie and fat content. A small baked potato has about 93 calories and virtually no fat. That same potato, when cut and deep fried into French fries, can have over 300 calories and 17 grams of fat. This alone contributes to obesity, which is a major risk factor for stroke. But the type of oil is even more critical. Many restaurants and home cooks use oils that are high in saturated fats or, even worse, partially hydrogenated oils containing trans fats. Trans fats are widely recognized as the worst type of fat for your health. The process used to create them, along with the extremely high heat of deep frying, alters the oil's chemical structure in a way that our bodies can't process properly. Here's what happens inside your body. Trans fats and high amounts of saturated fats do double damage to your cholesterol. They raise your LDL, the bad cholesterol, while lowering your HDL, the good cholesterol. LDL cholesterol contributes to the sticky plaque inside your arteries, a condition called atherosclerosis. HDL cholesterol, on the other hand, acts like a scavenger, removing excess cholesterol. By raising the bad and lowering the good, a diet high in fried foods creates the perfect storm for clogged arteries. Think of your arteries as smooth, flexible pipes. Eating fried foods is like pouring thick grease down those pipes day after day. Eventually, it builds up, hardens, and narrows the passage. If that blockage happens in an artery leading to your brain, it causes a stroke. The research here is frighteningly clear. One review found that people who ate the most fried food had a 28% greater risk of a major heart attack or stroke compared to those who ate the least. Another hidden danger is reusing cooking oil. To save money, it's tempting to use the same oil multiple times. But each time that oil is heated to a high temperature, it degrades, it oxidizes, and the trans fat content can actually increase. That means the fifth batch of fries cooked in that oil is far more dangerous than the first. So, how do you escape the deep frying trap? Luckily, modern technology offers a fantastic alternative: the air fryer. Air fryers circulate extremely hot air around food, creating a crispy outer layer with just a fraction of the oil. You can get a remarkably similar texture for things like French fries and chicken wings with just a teaspoon of oil instead of several cups. Baking and roasting are also excellent methods. Tossing vegetables or potatoes with a small amount of a healthy oil and roasting them at around 400 degrees, 200 degrees, can create wonderful browning and caramelization without submerging them in fat. If you absolutely must fry something, use a healthy oil with a high smoke point like avocado oil. Use less of it by pan frying, and never reuse the oil. Your arteries will thank you. This next point isn't a cooking method you use in your kitchen, but a manufacturing process you choose to bring into it. It's the silent danger of relying on ultra-processed foods, or UPFs. These are the foods that come in packages, require little to no prep, and are designed to be irresistibly tasty with a long shelf life. We're talking about sausages, chicken nuggets, frozen dinners, chips, cookies, and sugary breakfast cereals. The problem isn't just that they're high in fat, sugar, and salt, though that's a huge part of it. The problem is the industrial processing itself. These foods often undergo high heat treatments and chemical modifications that create harmful byproducts while stripping away nutrients. Recent research has drawn a clear line between eating UPFs and stroke risk. A 2024 study in the journal Neurology found that a higher intake of ultra-processed foods was associated with an 8% increased risk of stroke. Conversely, people who ate the most unprocessed or minimally processed foods had a 9% lower risk of stroke. The science is sending an undeniable message. The more you rely on industrial cooking, the higher your risk. So why are these foods so dangerous? It really comes down to three main culprits. First, sodium. Ultra-processed foods are packed with sodium as a preservative and flavor enhancer. A single frozen pizza can contain more than half of your recommended daily sodium intake. A high-sodium diet is a leading cause of high blood pressure, and high blood pressure is the single biggest risk factor for stroke. Second, unhealthy fats and sugars. To make these foods taste so good, manufacturers load them with unhealthy saturated fats, and sometimes still trans fats, along with tons of added sugars. We've already covered how these fats clog your arteries. The added sugars contribute to chronic inflammation and can lead to type 2 diabetes, which more than doubles your stroke risk. Third, they lack protective nutrients. The processing itself destroys many of the beneficial components of whole foods, like fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. So you're not just eating harmful ingredients, you're also missing the very nutrients that fight inflammation and protect your blood vessels. The solution is a conscious shift in your shopping habits. Start by reading the labels. Don't just look at calories. Look at the sodium content, the saturated fat, and the added sugar. If the ingredients list is a mile long and full of words you can't pronounce, it's probably a UPF. A great strategy is to shop the perimeter of the grocery store, where you'll find fresh fruits, vegetables, and lean meats. The inner aisles are where the packaged, processed foods tend to live. Embracing cooking from scratch doesn't have to be complicated. A simple meal of baked chicken with steamed vegetables and brown rice is faster than waiting for a frozen lasagna to heat up, and is infinitely better for you. And that brings us to our fourth danger, which might be the most common and overlooked of all: pan frying and sautéing with the wrong kinds of fats. You might think that since you're cooking at home with fresh vegetables, you're making a healthy choice. But if you start by melting a pat of butter or a scoop of bacon grease in that pan, you could be canceling out many of the benefits. The primary villains here are saturated fats. These are fats that are solid at room temperature, like butter, lard, ghee, and coconut oil. For decades, dietary guidelines have recommended limiting saturated fat because of its direct impact on cardiovascular health. A diet high in saturated fat tends to raise your bad LDL cholesterol. High LDL is a major driver of atherosclerosis, the plaque buildup that clogs arteries and leads to heart attack and stroke. Replacing saturated fats with healthier unsaturated fats has been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease by as much as 30%, an effect similar to cholesterol-lowering statin drugs. The problem is these fats add a lot of flavor. Frying eggs in butter or sautéing greens in bacon fat are classic techniques, but they come at a significant cost to your long-term health. And it's not just the obvious sources. Many people who've switched to a supposedly healthy option like coconut oil might be shocked to learn that it's extremely high in saturated fat, even more so than butter. The solution isn't to stop sautéing and pan frying. They're wonderful cooking techniques. The solution is to make a simple but powerful swap in the type of fat you use. Switch to unsaturated fats. These are oils that are liquid at room temperature and are known to be heart protective. Great choices for everyday cooking are extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil. These oils can help lower bad cholesterol and reduce inflammation. You also don't need to flood the pan. A teaspoon or two is often enough to prevent sticking. You can also discover the power of water or broth. For sautéing vegetables like onions and garlic, you can often get away with using no oil at all. Start with a few tablespoons of water or broth in a hot pan. As it evaporates, just add another splash. This technique perfectly softens vegetables without adding any fat. When you do use oil, be mindful of the heat. You don't want the oil to start smoking. When an oil smokes, it's breaking down and forming harmful compounds. This simple change, swapping the fat in your pan, is one of the most impactful adjustments you can make to lower your stroke risk. We've covered 4 common ways that cooking habits can put your health at risk: the high heat char from the grill, the greasy allure of the deep fryer, the hidden dangers in processed foods, and using the wrong fat in your everyday frying pan. The point of this isn't to make you afraid of your kitchen. It's to empower you with knowledge. When you understand the why behind the risks, you can make simple, intelligent choices that protect you and your loved ones. It's not about eliminating your favorite foods, but preparing them in a smarter way. It's about choosing to bake instead of deep fry, turning down the heat on the grill, reading the label on packaged foods, and reaching for olive oil instead of butter. Each of these small changes is a powerful step towards reducing inflammation, keeping your arteries clean, and drastically lowering your risk of a stroke. You are in control, and you have the power to make your next meal the healthiest one yet. If you found this information valuable, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future videos. And now I have a question for you. Based on what you learned today, what's one small change you plan on making in your own cooking this week? Let us know in the comments below. Your journey can inspire others. Thank you for watching, and cook healthy.